Good afternoon and welcome to the Bombay Chamber second conclave on sustainability. I am delighted to be here to talk today. The theme and the backdrop for the sessions today is climate tech as a solution on the path to net zero. Climate action and sustainability are emerging as the defining problems facing us as a global industry and global society over the next 20 years. There is no denying that we are going through a phase of extreme transition, and which is creating both opportunity and vulnerability. Climate experts look at the lens of mitigation, which is reduction of carbon and greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, thus reducing the accelerated global warming that we are seeing these days. The second piece, in addition to mitigation, is adaptation, helping economy and society transition from high carbon to low carbon. And third is building resilience in industries, supply chains, and again, vulnerable segments of the society. India sits at a very critical juncture. We are looking at a decade ahead, 2 decades ahead of unprecedented growth. We are seeing large-scale digitization, formalization, and inclusive growth in the economy. With all of this comes increased consumption and increased carbon footprint. Globally, particularly in the global developed north, the dialogue is a lot more around mitigation, how to reduce the carbon footprint, how to reduce GHG. Here in India, we have to look also at adaptation and resilience. We have some of the most vulnerable populations in the world here. A large part of our economy is in agriculture, which continues to be dependent on climate. So if we look at the 3 segments that form 90% of emissions in India, those are energy transition, mobility and supply chain, and agriculture. I think the options and the alternatives facing us are clear. We have to look for innovation and solutions that will help us address energy transition, mobility and supply chain, and climate resilient agriculture. Let me take these one by one. And I know you would be hearing several sessions today on what industries as well as startups are doing to address some of these problems. On energy transition in India, of course, 60% of our power continues to be coal-based. We are seeing a lot of innovation, government and policies very supportive of accelerating renewable and adoption of renewable. On the technology and innovation side, we are seeing new business models and new technologies emerge around battery, storage, energy access, transition. Secondly, let's talk about food. So, we talk about energy security. Now let's talk about food security. Here in India, of course, a large part of our population is still engaged in agriculture. We are vulnerable to extreme heat, to flooding, to erratic monsoons. So creating technologies that enable us to create a more sustainable supply chain and a resilient supply chain, and also enable our populations to not lose life or livelihood. And indeed, food, which is a very basic need for all, becomes important as well. And thirdly, supply chain and logistics, we are seeing in India, sector after sector is undergoing digitization. And with digitization comes efficiency as well as decarbonization. We are at not just a difficult place when it comes to climate as a world, as a global system and society. But in India, I think we are particularly optimistic. We have leapfrogged twice already. We leapfrogged from fixed line telephone to now mobility, ubiquitous mobility across India, lowest cost data network in the world, 700 million smartphones. Even our average farmer today has access to apps on a mobile phone. The second big leapfrog that we have seen is on payments, where we have gone from using cash and bypassed credit card, debit card, and gone straight to UPI. UPI today, of course, is seen as a global innovation coming out of India. A lot of countries are adopting it. Similarly, we are seeing the development of new public digital goods like ONDC, Open Network for Digital Commerce, which is doing for commerce what UPI did for payments. So we are very optimistic and think that much like India leapfrogged in various other areas, there will be innovative solutions that emerge in these 3 critical sectors that will come from India. We have one of the most exciting entrepreneurial ecosystems in the world. The quality of founders is fantastic. There is a large technological base and a big market. So we will come up with climate solutions that are relevant not just for India, but indeed we will build in India and for the world. The Honorable Prime Minister laid out the Panchamrit model in Glasgow last year, and we have now seen the rollout of the LIFE program to enhance and promote the adoption of sustainability in everyday citizens' life. This is a clarion call to action. Much like digital 20 years ago was not really a big presence in most companies. Today, digitalization is embedded across the value chain in every company, every business. Similarly, sustainability has to get embedded in every single aspect of business. It is not just about saving the planet, but it's actually about making our businesses more competitive, reducing our cost of capital, reducing risk, bringing in sustainability into product design, procurement, manufacturing, supply chain, and go-to-market. Friends, consumer has spoken, large capital has spoken, big institutional investors from around the world want to invest in responsible companies. Policymakers are giving us a lot of support in India as well. We have the National Solar Mission, we've got renewable energy support for EV, the new PLI schemes are supporting growth and investment in these sunrise sectors. Honorable Finance Minister announced in the last budget speech support for blended finance in new frontier areas like climate, drones, agri-tech, etc. It is up to us as industry participants to really embrace what is coming through in the fields of innovation, using technology to find solutions for energy, decarbonization, climate-resilient agriculture, and supply chain and electric mobility. On that note, I will end this session. It has been a pleasure talking to you. And much like we saw how digital created a lot new opportunities and a lot of value creation took place over the last 20 years, we are confident that not only will we see solutions emerge through sustainability, but also a lot of new business models and a lot of shareholder value creation in the next 20 years. Thank you very much. Namaste and good afternoon.